Okay, so our last chapter was on magic muffins. Let's go back and read the very end of that one. But young girls need secrets now and then. Secrets are like pieces of silver. And besides, someone with a deeper secret is about to arrive at the Van Gogh Cafe. Someone tall and sad and elegant. Someone who could be a star. Which takes us to today's chapter, The Star. It is nearly Christmas now, and the Van Gogh Cafe is luminous. Old-fashioned tree lights are strung all around the door, and candy canes hang everywhere. Each customer takes a candy cane when he leaves. Small paper antlers have been glued onto the porcelain hen's head, and over all dogs someone has taped Santa. Bless Santa. The phonograph has changed its tune, the only time of year a different record is played, and Nat King Cole is singing Silent Night. Outside it's cold. A winter wind in Kansas gets going and there's nothing to stop it. A little breeze can kick up in the east and in a matter of minutes have people shivering 200 miles to the west. Wind loves a flat land. So the customers are especially grateful for Mark's strong, hot coffee and the warmth that makes the cafe windows moist with perspiration. Christmas, of course, simply enhances the cafe's magic, its mystery. And in December, in early morning, the Van Gogh Cafe is a fine place to meet someone you haven't seen in a long time. There aren't many new faces in the cafe this season, given the weather, so the man is noticed the moment he walks in. He is tall and slender, and he moves like water. Besides being strikingly handsome, he is a fabulous dresser. Black cloak, black cashmere scarf, black wool gloves, a black cane. His white hair sets it all off perfectly. He must be 90 years old. Clara is filling up napkin holders when he walks in. She looks up and meets his eyes, and at once she feels he knows everything about her. The Van Gogh Cafe brings out the best in people, so though all the customers are full of curiosity, no one stares at this man. A few smile briefly as he makes his way to the small black table by the window. Then they return to themselves. Clara continues filling the holders as one of the waitresses takes the elegant man's order. Tea, plain. A boiled egg, please. Thank you. He has a lovely voice, lovely manners. Clara thinks there is something so romantic about him. Mark comes out of the kitchen. He is looking for his watch, which he believes he put inside the porcelain hen. Her head lifts off. And as he looks around the cafe to smile and greet his customers, Mark suddenly sees the elegant man at the small table. And unlike everyone else who has remembered his good manners, Mark stops what he is doing and stares. The man smiles shyly and looks away. Mark is staring because he knows who this is. He looks around the cafe to see if anyone else realizes who is among them. No one does. No one remembers this man's movies. But Mark remembers them all. Mark has seen all of the old silent films, the ones with Charlie Chaplin and Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks. He knows them by heart, and he knows the actors' faces like he knows his daughter's face. And Mark is certain who this elegant man in the cafe is. He is a star. Clara doesn't know, of course. She has watched old movies with her father, but except for Chaplin, she doesn't know the actors, only their movements. And it is perhaps the way the elegant man has moved through the cafe that reminds her of something she has seen before. Reminds everyone, but none can quite place the memory. The breakfast hours pass, and people go their way, to work, to the mall at the edge of town, back home to put up a tree. But the elegant man stays on. He has hardly touched his egg. His teacup is still half full. The door of the Van Gogh Cafe opens and closes, and he stays on, looking out the window. Mark cannot help himself. When there is no one left in the cafe except the silent star, Mark walks over to his table. Clara, curious, shyly follows. Mark offers his hand, and the man gracefully takes it. They shake. "I know your work," Mark says softly. "I love it. I love all your films." Clara's eyes are wide. She has not known until now that a star is in her cafe. The old man blushes and smiles. "Thank you," he says. There is an awkward moment then. Graciously, he offers Mark and Clara the two empty chairs at his table. Happily, they sit. Mark and the silent star talk about the old films as Clara listens. There is an innocence in her father's face she has not seen before. He's like a boy. The silent star seems pleased, quietly thrilled, to talk of his work with someone who understands so well. He laughs and sighs and even trembles slightly, reliving it all. There is a moment or two when each is quiet, catching his breath. "Why, sir, are you at the Van Gogh Cafe?" Mark gently asks. Clara waits. The old man seems glad someone has asked. He reaches into his coat and pulls forth an old photograph. He hands it first to Clara, then to Mark. It is of a beautiful young man in a waistcoat and top hat standing before an old theater. Mark looks carefully at the building in the picture. "Is this?" "Yes," replies the silent star. "The building is the Van Gogh Cafe, in 1923, when it was a theater. He and I did some shows here together the summer we met." The silent star smiles and puts the photograph back inside his coat. "Today I am waiting for him," he says. Clara's heart is pounding. She feels that she herself is in a movie. Every gesture the man makes, each word he speaks, is so beautiful to her. She knows the cafe remembers this man. She can feel it drawing into him, reaching for this man who has been part of its first magic on the stage of the old theater. Oddly, not one person has walked into the cafe to break the spell. Mark offers the star a fresh cup of tea and a piece of apple pie, which is gratefully accepted. Then Mark and Clara leave the old man to his waiting. The lunch hours come and go, then the dinner hours. The silent star waits. Occasionally Clara or Mark offer him something, but he politely declines, and they find themselves watching the window, watching the door, for a beautiful young man in a top hat and waistcoat. Finally, it is time to close, and still the old man is waiting. He seems very tired now, but unworried. He asks Mark if he might sit by the window a little longer. "Of course," says Mark, though he offers his guest room to the man, offers to take him home for the evening and return him to the table by the window the next day. But the man is certain his friend is coming very soon. Very soon, he says. So Mark takes Clara home and returns to the cafe a few hours later to check on the old man. At first, Mark thinks the man is asleep. Then Mark realizes that he has died. In the old man's hand, Mark finds a newspaper clipping, cracked and yellow. The clipping shows the face of the beautiful young man in top hat and waistcoat. It reports that he is drowned in 1926. And in the old man's other hand is the same photograph that Mark and Clara were shown, but now the photograph is changed. The beautiful young man is gone, and there is only a soft, empty light where he was standing. Mark and Clara keep the photograph and the newspaper clipping inside a small box near the cash register. And on Christmas Eve, when everything is quiet, they looked at these again. They each think how perfect that the silent star has died where he found his true love, that he came to the Van Gogh Cafe and waited for his friend to take him home. But the star will not be the last wanderer making his way home by the way of the Van Gogh Cafe. There will be others. In fact, one is about to land on its roof. Magic is never wasted on a wayward gull.